Barb Iverson with Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm here. So the color has started to change on the trees, so that means fall is here. So fall is the perfect time to plant your tulips and daffodils and other spring flowering bulbs. And so I'm going to give you some tips today about what we do. So again, fall, after the temperature cools down. So we want the soil temperature to cool down. It's better for the bulbs because once you plant your bulbs, they're going to put their roots down until they have enough cooling this winter, and then they'll send up their shoots next spring. So to plant your bulbs, a couple tips. So when you order your bulbs, pay attention to the bloom time. So one tip I would have is some of the early flowering tulips and some of the late flowering tulips. That'll extend your season for almost 6 weeks in your own garden, and then you get to enjoy that beauty that much longer. Add some daffodils that bloom in February or crocus, it's even better. So to plant, so find a spot in your garden that's not densely shaded. So you don't want full shade like under a fir tree. If you plant them in dense shade, then when when that emerges, it'll look for the light, and you'll get long, spindly branches or stems that are tall and weak. Now, a deciduous tree, you're fine because they'll lose their leaves and you'll get plenty of light in the winter. So find a spot that you want your plants, and what I do is I like to plant them in clumps, not in single rows. In a clump, you get more of a show. So I take my hand, and that's kind of the area I want to plant. I'm going to plant about 5 bulbs in that area. Now, if your ground is extremely hard, go to a shovel. Because you're going to find roots and everything else down there from the surrounding plants, and you might have to adjust where you're at. Now, just like in our fields where we rotate bulbs, if you've had tulips in this spot before, you may want to think about moving over and putting them in another area, because sometimes the bulbs will do fine for a year or two, and then you'll get a disease in them, and you'll get something called botrytis or fusarium in your soil. And so if you rotate within your own garden, it's healthier for your bulbs. So once you have a spot lined out, now I like to plant in clumps because it's a bigger, better show. And they say like 2.5 times the width of your bulb is how deep you go. 4 to 6 inches is usually good. If you've got a lot of squirrels in your yard, you might go a little deeper. You might even put a screen over the top. After you plant the bulbs, put a little soil and then put a screen over the top to prevent the rodents and squirrels from digging your bulbs up. And I just dump them out. And tulips, they have something called geotropism. So geotropism is they know what way is up. So even if you happen to plant these bulbs upside down, they're going to turn around and go up. So, but the root side, the broader side, is the side that you want to put down. And I'm going to put about 5 bulbs in here. And again, it's about the size of my hand is what I like to do. Now that's going to come up and give me kind of like a pot right there in my yard. So it'll be a nice showing. And then I'll do another one not very far away. The other thing you can do is you can layer in different heights, different colors, different seasons. So you can put your shorter ones in front, your later, taller ones in back if you want to extend the same area. You know, put your early blooming ones in the front of the hole and put your later tulips in the back of the hole. And then it's all kind of in the same area, because once these bloom, you're going to take that seed pod off when the flower's done. And so all the energy goes back down into next year's bulb. And then you're going to leave that there until it dries. So sometimes it's a little unsightly in the spring. So that's kind of a trick, so you kind of contain that not ugliness, but it's just different. If you put fertilizer in the hole, you want a low nitrogen fertilizer. You don't want a triple 16 or anything. It's usually like a 488 or 41010, and then you just cover it back up. Make sure it's fine, like this. And it's tucked away until next spring.